You take two of the fastest teams in the league by pace, you add a combustible mix of animal rights protests, father bonding, trash talk, swagger, small market braggadocio, and what do you have? You have really, I think, the most exciting series of the first round of the playoffs. You have Grizzlies Timberwolves, and to help us talk about it is Memphis Grizzlies sideline reporter Kelcey Wright Johnson. Kelcey, welcome to Takeline. Thank you for joining us.
What's going on,
Kelcey? How do people keep getting so close to the court so they could get on it? Well, let's go there first. Did you witness the Memphis version of the court invasion?
I was there.
Yeah.
But I was on the complete other side.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I saw, and I don't know if this was even like captured, is like they initially like threw a bunch of like pamphlets or something.
That I saw. I saw that, yeah.
So
that
I think
was
we were
on the broadcast. For
okay,
sure.
it was. Okay. So then there was also foul shots happening. So like that's where you're paying attention to. So then the pamphlets were like, oh, someone dropped something. Like I don't know what the heck happened.
Are we surprised they haven't brought actual chickens into the mix? Because it doesn't seem like security is great. Security got better last night at the Target Center because we had just an amazing tackle by the guy
Pierre.
who's shouts to Pierre, who probably the second most impressive Minnesota performance in this series so far was Pierre just tackling a random woman. But I just feel like at this point it's so easy for them to get on. And I'm pro animal rights and everything. I can't imagine what's happening to these chickens, but I feel like it's going to continue to escalate. Like someone's going to come in a chicken costume, or they're going to throw chickens from the ceiling or something. Like, are you prepared for what's next?
I don't feel like these plans have been that good.
To be fair, you weren't there for the glued hand to the floor, okay? You weren't there for that, Kelcey.
But like, okay, first of all, glue does not dry that quickly.
Number one. Okay, wasn't a great plan.
Number two, the plan yesterday was to give a technical foul to Glenn Taylor and eject him from the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like Zach, I care about the animals too. I think factory farming is terrible.
It's terrible.
I do think that right now, with inflation very, very high and the global supply chain constrained because of war and various other things, maybe now is not the right time to like do something that would potentially like raise the price of food, which falls disproportionately on lower income people. Like, I agree, factory farmers got to go, but like maybe not right now. Also, the reason that Glenn Taylor's farms are, and many, many other poultry farms are like euthanizing millions of birds is because there's a bird flu outbreak in like the Midwest and the eastern part of the country. Bird flu, if it jumps to people, is like very deadly. And you know what? Again, I love animals, but like if the birds have the bird flu, they got to go. And I'm sorry about it, but they do have to go, people. All of which is to say, this is not the way to do it. Direct action, folks, but I understand.
It is a little weird that a Glenn Taylor operation would be mismanaged, but that's another topic for another day. Like that's only happened for like 25 years at this point.
Kelcey, what is the vibe in Memphis right now? What is the excitement level, and what is, the transition? We all remember the wonderful grit and grind run. This is a completely different team that plays like that, mixes the attitude of grit and grind with a lightning pace. And just it feels like the city has really coalesced around this team. So what's the vibe there right now?
Yeah, the players talk about that a lot, actually, because, I mean, some of them, no, I would say some of them weren't alive, but they're not that young. They remember that era. And so they talk about kind of incorporating that into their attitudes, like you said, and then playing their own style of basketball, which has been really cool. I was not here for that era, but I've heard a lot about it. Like when they went to the Western Conference Final, like everyone always talks about that. They have those same traditions here, which I think is pretty cool. Like they love their growl towels. They love Whoop That Trick. And I think, so this is my third season here. In my first season, they'd always be like, oh, like wait till we get to play Whoop That Trick. Like it's so cool. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, like it's a song, like I get it. But actually, like, no. Like, I don't know. I was just like, all right, like that's cool. Like, do your thing. I don't know what that is, but vibe out, everyone. Being there for the playoffs when they play that, when you know you're kicking the other team's butt, I can now say is insane. And like the arena's not huge and the seats aren't like in the Barclays Center, how the seats are very much like this. The seats are not like that. Like you are like on top of the floor. It is so fun. Even the watch party for the away games, they're having a watch party right over by kind of on the river. It had like hundreds and hundreds of people there last night. Like it's just, I think the Grizzlies are the main thing here. We're not a multi-sport city. We don't have a hockey team or a baseball team. And so when this team is doing well now, everyone's in Grizzlies jerseys. Everyone is behind this team. It's been fun and different than the last 2 seasons.
Kelcey, I think you and I talked about this a couple months ago on NBA radio, but the bravado and the shit talking of this team is like my favorite thing in the NBA this year. Like I love it so much, but it's one thing to do it as like a young team. To do it as like a 56-win 2 seed, like it puts so much more pressure on a young team. And I actually mean this in like the nicest way. Are they too naive and young to know like what kind of pressure that's supposed to add to like what's at stake here? Because there's a lot of expectations now, right? Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah, and we talk about that too, and I think that they prefer to be fueled from still being that underdog, and so I think it may be somewhat being naive or like not have experienced it, but I mean that's an interesting way to think about it. I wouldn't have put it in those words, but I don't think I disagree that maybe that is what it is, because they are like, who's the oldest person on the team right now? Like Kyle Anderson. Like they're young. They don't have that experience. I guess Steven would have some playoff experience. Tyus has maybe a little bit, but I just think I like to say confident. They're just confident in what they're doing and
very
like unapologetic. Like Ja has changed kind of like even the attitude of the other guys on the team. Like I've seen their attitudes change the more that he rubs off on them. And so, I mean, if that's the way that they're going to build their confidence, them versus everyone, and they are not scared to tell you.
What was your personal favorite example this season? It can be the postseason, the regular season, of the Grizz just like rubbing a team's face in the whole L, because it's like
I know mine.
I know mine as well. But I'll wait to see. I'll wait to see what Kelcey, what you think.
Wait. Can you guys tell me your favorites first?
I think we probably have the same one.
It's the Laker game.
Yeah, it's the Laker one. It's where Desmond Bane is talking so much shit to LeBron, and then LeBron goes and like dunks on Jaren right the next play, and he's like puffing his chest like, "You're down 18. What are you doing?" And then they killed him by like 30, and it's just like they didn't care. They didn't respect LeBron. So they're just like, get out of here, old man.
And LeBron was like, you better, hey, you gotta stop this. And they're just
I'm gonna call neighborhood watch on you kids.
Like that's what
in
his face. It was so good.
I think he brushed by Des there, and Desmond's like, I'm not scared of those. Like, what did he say? Like, I'm not scared of those
the paws,
those big
footsteps,
stomps.
right?
Like, footsteps. He's like, I'm fine. I think the other one that would probably be most known is Ja's post game, and I know that's not like in the thing, but when he's like, "We don't duck, no smoke," like we're not scared of anyone. I mean, there's just been too many to count, I think, and some of them probably have to come from Dylan Brooks too. Like we're talking about Des and Ja, but like Dylan's the best trash talker on the team. We probably just don't see those ones as much because they're like in the person's ear. Ja's dad too.
Oh my god!
It's the whole everyone. He talks trash as well as everyone else, and he's always sitting courtside. So,
and he's like totally fine, just like. And I know they're friends and they're joking. He's just totally fine, like calling Karl Anthony Towns Sr. He's like, "You're not gonna fit in my son's jersey." Like he's just fat shaming him. They're just like, "Yeah, this is great. Like this is so fun."
I mean, he shamed him the other way too.
Yeah,
he was like, "You're not gonna fill
for
out
sure."
this
No,
jersey.
it's like totally mutual and loving, and you can tell there's real admiration there. But it's just, T. Morant like might be the best trash talker out of all of them.
Oh, absolutely, it's so fun. You mentioned something, touched on something I think is really interesting about this team. Obviously, the Grizz take a huge amount of their swagger and their personality from Ja and his confidence and the way he plays. But also, something I think is really unique about this team, and it's been evident all throughout the regular season, is they also pick him up when either he's not having a game in which he's scoring particularly well, or even when he's out. Everybody knows about what a strong record the team had when he was out for a stretch. How have they developed that? How have they been able to like rally or not just take their personality from Ja, but then fill in the blanks when he is maybe not having the best game or is maybe not even there?
I think if this was an easy answer, more teams would replicate it.
Right.
I think a lot more credit goes to guys like Tyus Jones, who don't get a lot of recognition, but who are just like really solid backup second unit guys. And I also think it goes so underrated that this team is just really deep. And so you look at the roster, right? And you're like, why is this team number 2 in the West? Why is this team number 2 in the NBA right now? And you would look at it on paper and be like, the Nets should be better, Boston should be better. Like you can go down the list, but it's just like the depth. They might not have like 3 10 out of 10 guys, but they have 10 guys that are like 7, 8 out of 10 that like other people would not necessarily put on their rosters. And I think the front office has done a really good job too in terms of like fit. Like if you put John Conchar on the Nets, he doesn't have the same season that he did this year, and he was relatively unknown. He was on the G League he's on the G League team here last year. So I just think a lot goes to depth and a lot goes to the job that honestly Tyus Jones has been able to do when Ja was out for however many games he was out. Like he didn't even qualify for 56 games, right, to qualify for leaderboards. And so Tyus Jones, man.
Takeline is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. I want to tell you about the easiest, most fun way to spice up your season. It's Underdog Fantasy and their brand new Pick'em game. Just pick over or under on your favorite or least favorite or their cutest or least cute player, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. How can you beat that? If you want to know what Underdog's brand is, right? There's all these other daily fantasy companies. What does Underdog give you that no other daily fantasy company gives you? It's set it and forget it. It's as hard as you want it to be. As crazy as you want to get with your daily fantasy, you can get, but you can also just be like, okay, I picked something and then I forgot about it. And then look, oh my God, I won money. That's how it can go. Pick between 2 and 5 players and you can take home some cold hard cash. Just use the code Takeline and get your first deposit doubled by Underdog. Bucks Bulls on Wednesday. How many points and rebounds and assists will Giannis account for? Will DeMar DeRozan take a 3-pointer? He doesn't need to if he's playing well, which, you know. So what are you waiting for? Sign up with code Takeline, get your deposit match, and draft your NBA Dream Team today. Underdog Fantasy, woof woof.
Tyus Jones, man. And he gets a new contract this year.
And to your point, I mean, you know, this is in team building, you kind of have to get lucky sometimes, and the Grizz have just knocked it out of the park with their drafting. What is, you know, Dylan Brooks was, what was he, like the 45th pick?
Yeah,
like,
he was late.
You know,
Dez.
Yeah.
It's like they've really just Bane crushed it with these like late draft picks that are just crushing it at a very, very high level right now.
Desmond Bane was 30th.
It's
What?
crazy. It's crazy. I think they thought he was too muscular. Do you think that was it? They were like, this guy's...
They just like, that's a linebacker. Like, that's
Right.
what that is.
It
Like,
might be
wrong
more like
sport.
a measurable thing, right? Like his wingspan is not what whoever else is in front of his was, but
Yeah.
like he broke records in college, and
Yeah.
I guess sometimes the college game also doesn't translate to NBA, but that was seamless for him. He's a shooter.
Yeah.
yeah, I wonder, like, there's no way they thought he would be this good, right? But well, any of these guys, they may have thought, like, because like you said, like they have 10 guys who are like 7 or better, right? I would imagine like you're grabbing a guy 30th and you're like, all right, he could be a 5 for us, like 5 out of 10, or this guy can be a 6. Like if you get a rotation guy anywhere outside the top 10 in the draft, you're like, oh,
thank God,
great, we did our
it.
job.
Yeah.
And for them, it's like, oh, we have like 9 number 3 guys now. Like we have 9 guys who can like be the third option on this team. And like you said, like someone like Tyus Jones, who was in Minnesota and was kind of like couldn't find a spot there, couldn't find the right role. Like he goes there and it's like, hey, you're behind Ja. Go pick up like whenever he's out of the game, whether he's playing or just, you know, on the bench for a breather, and like everyone just steps up, and that shouldn't happen with the young team. It's crazy.
It's just like a perfect fit. Like the fit is, and you see this all the time, like when guys just get drafted to the wrong team and they're like a kind of somewhat of a dud, and then they go to a new team and they're like, oh wait, like where was this guy this whole time?
As a Knicks fan, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, it's the playoffs, so officiating is going to be a big part of the conversation. You know, witness Joel Embiid derisively clapping at the refs a few days ago, and there's plenty other examples of a similar kind. Coach Taylor Jenkins was pretty vociferous about his thoughts about the officiating after the last game. It is an extremely physical game, and the intensity seems to be ratcheting it up like every quarter as the series progresses. What are your thoughts on how the officiating has been?
The game, it tipped off yesterday at 9:00. It did not end until 12:30. There was 18 foul shots taken by one team in the first quarter. Like, call me crazy, but I think, you know what? I'm gonna refer to something that Dylan Brooks said after the game yesterday, because obviously none of us have played in NBA playoff basketball, but he said he always watched in his first 3 years, he always watched playoffs and thought it was far more physical, far faster, a little looser. And he said it's been the complete opposite. He says, like, he feels like they're touching the air and things are being called both ways. He didn't say it was necessarily like just on them. He was saying it was like 56 or 58 fouls called in a 48-minute game yesterday. That's wild.
Yeah.
We didn't get 1 minute of straight basketball.
No, there's like no flow to it at all. And like, so if you're I think if you're Memphis or even Minnesota to a certain extent, like, I think you can expect Game 5 with the complaining from I think kind of both sides, but mostly like justified by Memphis' side. The fact that you had 25 fouls in your starting lineup is insane. And so I think like you can expect the calls to be fewer and fewer in Game 5. And I think that for Memphis, like, I know Minnesota likes to play fast, but Memphis just seems more comfortable playing fast. They seem to be more controlled within that chaos.
Yeah, because they'd obviously rather score in transition than play up against a set defense. It was funny after the game yesterday too. Ja was like, yeah, he had 3 or 4, right? And he was like, I don't even foul like that. I don't remember the last time Ja had 4 fouls ever.
Jenkins called the game like inconsistently officiated and arrogantly officiated. Which,
I love that.
Whoa! It's like that is a.
If I made as much money as Taylor Jenkins, I would have paid his fine for him. Like, that's such a great line.
Dylan Brooks said he's going to pay the fine. He said, "Don't worry about it."
I absolutely love that. And by the way, like, that's what you have to do at this level. Like Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, they would start the conversation about the officiating before the series kicked off. You know, saying, hey, well, they hack us all the time and they they get away with this and that. And, but of course the referees don't care because blah, 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 blah. So I do love this. I think this is great. Gosh, what has been your favorite part of this series thus far? Which, again, I think is one that I think a lot of people, myself included, figured Grizz are going to. There's some matchup things that make you think, oh, this is going to be an exciting series, but not necessarily a long one. And it's looking like it could potentially go 7. The Timberwolves make a million mistakes all the time, but they have the scoring punch to like overcome it. Like we like to make fun of them because of the 2 blown double-digit leads, forgetting the fact that they also had 2 big double-digit leads. So this is going to be an exciting series. What has been your favorite part thus far?
I would say, other than like the atmosphere of winning at home, that's like so cliche. I think it's so the game where you come back from 2 25-point deficits.
It's unbelievable.
I think not only does that show
so crazy,
right? Like, it doesn't
the
even
most wolf shit ever.
It
To
really
blow
is
2 25-point games, 1 in each half, is the most wolf shit ever.
So Patrick Beverley went off the backboard to himself like he was Vince Carter in the first quarter.
Like that.
What
hurt
was
your
that
soul.
game?
And then we in Minnesota now.
Oh my God. That's why Ja's the best at this trash talk.
I know,
because
he
he didn't have to go, he just like a simple quote tweet. That's all it took. And he just oh my God.
He had that drafted before he went and did his press conference, because he was like, I have a video coming for you guys. The minute he steps off the stage.
Boom. Oh my God. What a master. What a masterful trash talker.
It's so good.
That's got to be it though, right? Like, that just shows not only the resilience, and then they got to talk even more insane trash talk after that, because they're like, all right, now we're up. And like, what were you guys doing? Like, why'd you let us do that?
My favorite meme after the fact was a screenshot of Pat Beverly doing the too small hand gesture, along with the two 20+ point leads.
Yeah. So how do you even like get ready for Game 5 with how? Because this series, like, I think we all believe. Well, maybe we don't all believe this. I think we all believe like Memphis is the better team and will win this, right? Like
I believe that.
I believe
yeah.
that.
Well, and it's Minnesota. Like even if they weren't, it's
Yeah.
Minnesota. So like they'll find a way. But like, how do you even prepare for Game 5 of like what to expect? Because I feel like this has been all over the place.
I think it has, but I think that the Grizzlies have shot like 30% from the field, and none of it has come from the way that they want. Like the fast break points have been 10, 11 points every game. And so I don't think they've actually played a good game yet. I know it sounds crazy because they've won 2 playoff games, but I don't think they've played a good game yet. Ja hasn't had a game like Ja. Jaren's been fouled out every game. Not fouled out, but like, he's taking a lot of time on the bench. I mean, Dylan's had an okay game. Des had a really good game. He's been shooting well. But like, I think to come out and have a game where you actually can, at the end of the game, look at the box score and be like, okay, this is Grizzlies basketball. This is how Memphis has played all season. They haven't had that yet. They've just been better twice than a 7 seed, which they should be.
Right. Especially that 7 seed.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say that. I'll say that. I'm fine with it.
I mean, the other 7 seed's not doing very well either on the East.
Yeah, I guess like if you're the 7 seed, you just suck for a reason.
It's like, there's a reason you're down there.
You might get swept. You might blow 2 25-point leads in the same game. Who knows?
Pick your poison.
Yeah.
Kelcey, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck in the rest of the series. Super fun. Tell Jaren to stop fouling. I agree with Taylor. I agree with Taylor on everything that he said, but I do think Jaren needs to stop fouling. That's all.
But that last foul yesterday.
Yeah,
I'll start a fight.
I agree.
That one was crazy.
No, listen. That one was crazy. But I do just in general, like could be like one of the greatest defensive players like in the league. Just please stop fouling. That's all. Excited for this series to continue. I'm hoping it goes 7. Kelcey, thanks again.
She didn't like that. She wants it done in 6.
I know. You want it? I get it.
Grizz in 6, baby.